First thing you're dealing with is you're going to be dealing with a surface area. So right away you're going to be dealing with one of the formulas down the left-hand side of your page, yes? Not the volume. What else is important? It's a cone, so you know what formula you're going to use. Now, in all math, always write out as much as you possibly can. Then you cannot screw it up. So since you know you're using the surface area of the cone, you should write out surface area equals pi r squared plus pi r slant. Right? Did I need to know that? No, it's written right on the sheet that some of you don't have, but I will be printing for you again soon. Maybe you'll hold on to this one. Next, what is the next thing that's important? It's a math class, so I bet the numbers are. What is that 1,200? That's the surface area. So that is your surface area. Radius is 5, so that is your R. You know the SA and you know the R. When you look over here, do you see the letters SA? Do we know what the SA is? So what do we write there? I rewrite the equation with all the numbers that I know. What are the numbers that I know? 1,200 equals pi times 5 squared plus, that's not a plus, plus pi times 5 times s. Because we don't know what the s is. Everybody understand? Now we should simplify. 1,200 equals 25 pi plus 5 pi s. Now here is where every kid starts to screw up algebra. Especially when you're working with pi. Pi is just a number, isn't it? It's 3.14159 for billions and billions of decimals, right? Is it an x? Is it an unknown or is it a known? No. It is known. What is the only unknown here? S, which means if I want to find S, I have to get S by itself, don't I? Right? Now, just to remind you, if I gave you this, could you solve that? You could, couldn't you? It'd be super easy. What would you do with that 7? You could either take away 7 from both sides, or you could do what Sihaj just did, which was this. I know what he means. He moved it over here and made it -7. Right? Everybody's cool with that, yeah? Okay, so come back over here. Why did you start with the 7? Why didn't you start with 2s over here? Sihaj? The 13 doesn't have an S, so we're going to deal with all the things that we know, right? Because we know 7 and we know 13. Well, don't we know 25 pi? Isn't that the same as 7? It's just going to have a weird decimal, right? So I could subtract 7. So could I do minus 25 pi? Is that allowed? Or could I do the other thing Sihaj said, which was move it over here? Are both of them acceptable? Of course they are. The reason you guys screw this up is because you see 25 pi and you think it's the same as 2s. It's not, is it? So we'll move that away and we'll get 1,200 minus 25 pi equals what's left over here? What's left on the right-hand side of the equation? 5 pi s. What do we need to get rid of there? We need to get rid of the pi, right? How do we get rid of pi? We eat it. But no, really, how do we get rid of pi? What math is happening between 5 and pi and s? Multiply. I want to get rid of that multiply, so what do? I divide by pi. What else do I want to get rid of? So it's 5 times pi, so what do? divide by 5. Now, if I divide the right side by 5 pi, what do I have to do to the left side? 5 pi. And now 1,200 minus 25 pi over 5 pi equals S. Is that a math class answer? Yes. Is it a real life answer? Are we in math class? Would I accept that? Can anybody see any simplifying you could do there? What could you do? You could deal with that side. But a mistake kids often make is they forget that this is a different side. So you still have to do that. Because you can't do 1,200 divided by 5 pi, can you? Minus 25 pi divided by 5 pi. Now, can I do some simplifying here? Sayaj will say yes. He's already talked about this side. Can I do anything over here? Can I do anything with 1,205? I can divide, can't I? So I could do 1,200 divided by 5, which is what? Pardon? 240. So I have 240 over pi minus, what's 25 divided by 5? 5. What's pi divided by pi? They cancel. So minus 5. And that would be the best answer you could give me. Why am I making you do this? Because for the rest of the year, for the rest of this course till July 26th, almost every day, you are going to be doing algebra. That's why I started with the very hardest ones I could think of. Because if you understand the hardest ones, then how easy are these ones? So easy, it's not even worth talking about, is it? Everybody cool? All right, so let's look at the next one. Volume of a cylinder. So right away I can write my formula, can't I? What is the volume of a cylinder? Area of base times the height, and the base of a cylinder is what shape? So pi r squared times the height. That's my unknowns. What do I know? I know the volume, so there is my V. What else do I know? The height. There is my H. How do I fill this in now? What goes in for this V? 500 equals pi. What goes in for R? No. Do I know R? I don't know R. And what goes in for H? 20. Okay. What's my job now? What am I trying to find? The radius. So that means the R has to be by itself, doesn't it? So what would get rid of this pi? What math is happening with pi? What math do I see? Multiply. So what math do I do to get rid of it? Divide by pi. What else could I divide by? 20. And what's going to happen to this 20? Gone. Gone. What's going to happen to this pi? Gone. Gone. What needs to happen to this 500? Needs to be divided by 20 and pi. And that will equal, what did I leave over here? R squared, right? Can I tidy this up? What can I do? It's 25 pi, right? Sorry, 25 over pi, right? And what does that equal? R squared. We've already done Pythagoras, right? How do I get rid of the R squared? I see squared, so I have to do square root. So R equals the square root of 25 over pi. Now, by the end of this year, in case you don't remember how to do this, you'll learn how to deal with this. The square root of 25 is 5 over the square root of pi. That is the best answer you could give me. It actually isn't quite. There's one more thing you could do there, but you wouldn't do that until grade 11. So we're going to stop there. Is everybody cool? So number 3, what do I know? So let's go. What would I write there? What's the first thing I should write out? Everybody should be writing right now. I should see 28 pencils moving. So without my help, all of you should be there, right? Put in the volume. Now, what here bugs you the most? The fraction, because we're all scared of fractions, right? What math is a fraction? Divide. So what math gets rid of divide? Multiply. I want to get rid of a divided by 3, so I multiply by 3. What happens to those two 3's? Gone. What has to happen over here? I got to multiply by 3, which is 21,000, and then 1,800, 22,800, and then 3 times 2 is 6. It should be 22,806. But you'll have to check your calculator for me. Am I right? Okay. Now what bugs me on the right-hand side? The 4 and the 3? What about the pi? So I got to get rid of 4 pi, right? What happens to this 4 and this pi? Gone, gone. What happens over here? I divide by 4 pi. So now I've got 22,806 divided by 4 pi equals r cubed. Well, when it was r squared, we took a square root. What are we going to take now? A cube root. And that's a real pain in the butt to do on a lot of calculators, so I'm not even going to ask you to do it. Because this isn't calculator 10, is it? This is math 10. So all we're going to do is we're going to write a cubed root of 22,806 over 4 pi to give us r. I don't even care about what this value is, because it's not going to be a real value, is it? It's going to be a whole bunch of decimals. And that whole bunch of decimals comes from your calculator, right? It doesn't come from your brain. Up to here, everything has been from your brain, except maybe 3 times 7,602. Is everybody cool? Everybody can do algebra, right? These are hard algebra questions. We're all good? Okay, we're going to skip number 4. And now we're just going to practice algebra. Notice I've given you no numbers here, right? So you have a equals root 2x plus 4. What does it mean when I say solve for x? What does that mean in math class? Pardon? But we can't get a missing number. We can't get x as a number, can we? Because we have 2 unknowns. So what does it mean when I say solve for x? Saihash? You won't be able to find a value for x because you don't know what a is. Yes. You will be isolating x, which means you write my pen is screwing up, a new equation with x alone. So I have to do a bunch of work to this side of the equation to get x by itself. Talk to your neighbor, see if you can figure it out. You should be able to do it. Remember, in algebra, it is often best to start as far away from what you are trying to get as possible, right? If we were going to drive to Disneyland, we wouldn't start in Disneyland. We'd have to drive all the way there. So if we want x to be by itself, we have to go through all the stuff that's in the way of x. Would anybody like to take the magic pen and try? It's wireless. I can bring the computer to you. No? It's because the pen's not working very well, right? You don't want to be embarrassed because the pen isn't writing very well? That's what it is, right? Okay. That's cool. I respect that because the pen isn't writing very well. It's kind of crappy today. I don't know what's wrong with it. It's pissing me off. Would anybody like to say what they did first? Just their first step. Just a little bitty little first step. What? You divided by 2? Eventually you're going to need to divide by 2, aren't you? But that 2 is right with the x. So should you start with that? We're trying to end up at the x, right? Yeah, I'm going to check with him. I'm just talking to you right now. Sayaj, what'd you do first? You took the 4 to the other side. Perfectly acceptable as well, except that's not really 4, is it? It's really the square root of 4, isn't it? Okay, so again, what should we try? What should we get rid of first? Get rid of the square root. How do you get rid of a square root? We do the power of 2. To get rid of a squared, we square root. So to get rid of square root, we square. If I square this side, what do I got to do to this side? Same thing. So I got a squared equals 2x plus 4. Now, Sahaj, what would you do? Move the 4. A squared minus 4 equals 2x. Now, Pavneet, what do you do with the 2? Divide by 2. And a squared minus 4 over 2 equals x. Is there anywhere here you could simplify if you wanted to? Because I'd be happy with that. But you could go one step further, and you could go a squared over 2 minus 2 equals x. Equals x. Stupid pen. Cool? And then the last 2 bits of algebra, then I'm going to shut up and get you working. How do I solve that? I can cross multiply. That's what everybody says to do, right? And I say cross multiply, but some people are like, what? What do you mean? Anytime in math you have fraction equals anything else, you can do this trick. 23 is really 23 over 1, right? So you just cross multiply. X times 1 is x. 4 times 23 is 92. That's all you do. Right? Now, you should be able to see a shortcut here. When x is in the numerator, you just multiplied the 2 numbers, right? Okay, let's come over to this one. Is this fraction equals something? Is it? So that means we could cross multiply again, right? What is 5 really over? 1. So cross multiply. What's 5 times x? 5. 5x equals, what's 60 times 1? 60. And then what do I do with this 5? Divide by 5, and x equals 12. Now you should see a different shortcut there. When x is in the bottom, what did I do with the two numbers? Divide. So, little shortcut. X is numerator. We multiply the numbers. And that symbol means numbers. It's not a hashtag. When x is the denominator, and I'm too lazy to write out denominator, I'm just writing denom because I'm lazy, we divide the numbers. Everybody cool? All right, now listen. I'm going to ask you to do 3 questions. They're back a couple of pages. Go back to page 221. I want you to do all of page 221, skip page 222, and at the top of 223, remind yourself that the circumference of a circle equals pi times the diameter, or 2 pi times the radius. They're the same thing. I will offer 5 gummy bear prizes to anybody who can get number 1, number 2, or number 4 right. But I will not help you. I will give you some hints. 1, read that closely. What does that mean? What does it mean? That means this diagram isn't what the thing really looks like. It's just a sketch to help you. Okay? So don't be fooled by it. 5 gummy bear prizes for each question. So if you get all 3 right, you could win 15 gummy bears. Everybody ready? Now, if you don't want to do these, that's cool. I don't care, because I'm not marking them. But I'm going to show you how to do them because they're really good questions. If you can figure these out, you'll get an A on your test. If you don't want to do them, then the next thing that is due that we are going to mark begins on page 226, the measurement review. And you will see on that question, or on that review, there is a 10 gummy bear bonus question, number 31, that is not part of the review because it's so hard. But if you get it, I'll give you 10 gummy bears. Everybody understand? And all of this is due by, let's see, this is block 2. You get all of block 3, but I want to mark it in block 3. This is all due by 11:30. And you'll get a break in the middle there. Everybody understand? So you have until 11:30 to get up to and including page 228. Done. Everybody cool? And I'll be walking around and helping. Pages 221 and 223, I will go over just before our next break at 10:30. Okay? Even if nobody's done them, I want you to see them because, like I say, they're good practice. Everybody okay? Go.